Hey everybody, Mr. The Fanboy here, back for another video, and this is my review of Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor Wrestling on Destination America, the July 29th edition, 2015 edition of Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor Wrestling on Destination America. I'm going to start off with TNA, since Ring of Honor has now had their 8 o'clock time slot taken away and are now at 11 o'clock. Now, TNA immediately started off. TNA, I didn't think TNA was all that good this week. It was mostly build up for the next week, but it was still enjoyable. Everything except for the Hardy segment and, of course, the knockout segment was for the most part enjoyable. Enjoyable. The show started off with Austin Aries coming to the ring, him bragging about his accomplishments, and criticizing Bully Ray. Bully Ray comes out. Bully Ray comes out and tells Austin Aries he has a big mouth. He has a big mouth and it's gonna get him in trouble. Austin Aries demands a World Heavyweight Championship match. Bully Ray tells him he lost to Kurt Angle. Then he demands him and his partner Rude get a tag team title match. Against the Wolves. Bully Ray once again reminds him that he lost to the Wolves. They lost the best of 5 series. To the Wolves, and then he, I think he suggests he gives him an X Division title shot. Austin Aries said he's been there, done that. He's bigger than the X Division. The X Division is for little people like Spud. That brings out Spud, and Austin Aries bullies Spud, and tells him that he should have listened when he told him not to cash in his briefcase against cash in his X Division title against Kurt Angle, and now he has nothing to show for it. Now he has nothing to show for it. Austin Aries talks about how much he respects Spud, Austin Aries talks about, Spud talks about how much he respects Austin Aries. Austin Aries ridicules him even some more, and Bully Ray then takes up for Spud. And Spud then talks about his life story, how he worked hard to get here in TNA, and how not only is he good enough to stand in the same ring as Austin Aries, he can beat Austin Aries. So then Austin Aries gets cocky and arrogant and brags and says he wants to wrestle Rockstar Spud for his name, the Rockstar name, and if Rockstar Spud wins, Austin Aries will leave TNA because Austin Aries said he isn't good enough to be in TNA if he can't beat Rockstar Spud. So next week, Austin Aries and Rockstar Spud. I was kind of hoping that match was tonight because I remember reading about this match in the spoilers, but it's next week. The next segment, of course, had Chad Melendez taking on Eric Young in a pretty good TV match. Eric Young controlled most of the match. There was some good wrestling and some good storytelling by Eric Young. Chad Melendez was an awesome babyface, and Eric Young was an awesome heel. Eric Young pinned Chad Melendez with the power driver. The next segment, of course, was the knockouts. Was a knockouts match between Brooke Tessmacher and one of the Dollhouse members. Taryn Terrell and the other Dollhouse woman, I keep forgetting her name. The other Dollhouse member were out there waiting for Gail Kim. Right when it appeared that the Dollhouse member was going to win, the lights went out and Gail Kim's Titantron came on, but no Gail Kim. It was a distraction for Brooke Tessmacher to hit the face buster, and pin the Dollhouse member for the 1, 2, 3. Thus, Brooke Tessmacher retains her title in a decent match. Really didn't care much for the match. The next the next match of the night, the next segment was of course Bram talking about Anderson's kids. I really wasn't paying attention. There was too much talking on this show. That's the problem I have with the show. It's enjoyable, but way too much talking. Want to see more wrestling. The next tag team match was Magnus and Mickey James versus Serena and James Storm. I know this was an awesome mixed tag team match. Mickey James wins with the DDT on Serena, and after the match, Mickey James hits the DDT on James Storm for all the suffering. Um, James Storm has caused her. And of course, then of course we have a segment with Matt Hardy and Ethan Carter. This was the worst segment of the night. I would have just rather them announce beforehand it'll be a tables, ladders, and chairs match between Matt Hardy and EC3. I also don't like the plot holes here, the booking. Matt Hardy won a tables match against EC3. Won a tables match against Robert Roode to earn the right to face EC3. Why does EC3 get to pick a stipulation? And why wasn't the stipulation for the match the TLC? Why wasn't that announced beforehand? Why do we have to waste time? Why do we have to waste time with them building up to that? With them coming up with a stipulation for the match, which is of course the TLC match, and of course EC3 gets to choose. If Matt Hardy loses, EC3 gets Jeff Hardy as his assistant, which I also don't like. But I guess that is something new. But you could have had a match at this time. You had Tigre Uno once again talking about Donald Trump. Yeah, I understand what Donald Trump did, but I hate Donald Trump, and I'm sick of seeing, and I don't want to see him brought up on any wrestling show. You could have had. I'd rather seen Tigre Uno defending the X Division title instead of Matt Hardy and EC3 having some lame build up to their tables match. This was the worst segment of the night. Now for the next segment of the night was Jeff Jarrett's Hall of Fame induction ceremony, where he thanked everyone who's worked for TNA, the X Division, the workers in the backs, Bob Carter and Dixie Carter's mother for the production crew. He thanked Don West. He criticized Don West and thanks him. He thanked everyone who's been a part of TNA, who's wrestled for TNA, who's got a paycheck with TNA. It was a very awesome and emotional moment. It's good to see Jeff Jarrett back in TNA, and this closed the show. Like I said, not that good of an episode of Impact. Not that good of an episode of Impact this week, but it was enjoyable. Ring of Honor wrestling was awesome tonight. Way better than last week. I didn't like last week's show. The main event really wasn't that good, and then it was just highlights throughout the show celebrating their 200th episode. But this edition of Ring of Honor wrestling was awesome. The show started off with Corey Hollis from NWA Anarchy Wrestling here in Georgia, and an African American wrestler named Gresham versus the Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. Mike Bennett in an awesome tag team match. Mike Bennett and Taven control most of the match. Corey Hollis and Gresham were the super baby faces in the match, and the match ends when Taven and Bennett hit their springboard power driver off the ropes onto I think Gresham for the 1, 2, 3. The next match of the night was some kind of 6-person elimination. No, not elimination, but 6-person every man for themselves tag team match, something like that between I'm going to start off between Caprice Ice Coleman, Dalton Castle, Cheeseburger, Brutal Bob, Silas Young, and Moose. This right here was another awesome, exciting match. I couldn't follow it, but it was exciting. Moose pins Brutal Bob with a spear for the 1, 2, 3. I didn't understand what the stipulation for this match was or what the match type was, but it was awesome. The main event was between Bobby Fish of Red Dragon versus ACH. ACH, this was a phenomenal main event to close out this episode of Ring of Honor Wrestling. After the match that went back and forth, what's his face? Bobby Fish wins the match with a suplex into power driver off the top rope onto ACH, and both men respect the code of honor and shake hands at the end of the match to close out an awesome episode of Ring of Honor. Like I said, Ring of Honor has been so awesome. Last week's episode was terrible, but this week's episode was good. Like I said, TNA, it was enjoyable. Really wasn't that good this week. Not a lot of wrestling for me. But next week should be awesome with Drew Galloway and Eli Drake and Austin Aries and Spud and Matt Hardy and EC3. All right, dug out.